We are getting close to Soap Opera September. If you look at my posts, I did post the schedule for how many soap operas that I'll be reviewing for the entirety of September. If the series gets popular, there are plenty more to review. There's so many more I could talk about. You might have noticed that I left out General Hospital. Now, I know that people would want me to review General Hospital because it's the most popular soap opera and it has 62 seasons. However, I can't. I wish I could. I can't do it. I can't do it because Mickey and his daughter were in, I think, a season, and I just can't do it. I'm the urge I have to go and find the episode and just talk about that along with the thing. It's too much. Also, there's so much with General Hospital in general that I don't know how long that video would be, in general, basically. It's why certain videos won't be too long, like the As the World Turns video, because in the As the World Turns video, I was also going to be talking about Luke and Noah. I can't talk about Luke and Noah in that video because the video would be too long. Even though the very first episode of Soap Opera September is Dynasty, I am leaving out the reboot. Obviously. Cannot talk about the reboot. I'm sorry, I can't do it. So, yeah, I just wanted to, get that out of the way before we start the video. Adult sitcoms, well, they're something else. They're just something else. And, the one we're talking about today was actually produced by Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. Now, hearing those two names, you would think the show would be incredible. It's freaking Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. No, not really. Today's adult family sitcom is called Family Dog. It was released in 1993. Only aired for a single season. Aired from June 23rd to July 28th. It was created by Brad Bird for CBS and based on a 1987 episode of Amazing Stories, which Amazing Stories is an anthology TV series that was actually created by Steven Spielberg and ran on NBC. So there's that. Now, what is the show about? Well, the show is about an average suburban family, but through the eyes of their dog named Jonah, who looks like Sparky from Frankenweenie. So we do have some Tim Burton elements when it comes to the animation a little bit. Not only that, but it was the first adult animated series to be produced by Nelvana, predating the other adult animated series, Bob and Margaret, which I don't want to make a video about, by the way. I was considering it, and then I was like, nah, I'm good. We're obviously going to get into this more later in the video, but while the OG anthology series, Amazing Series episode that the TV show was based on, made by Brad Bird, was praised, the series itself, which was delayed for years and made without his involvement, was panned by critics and is considered one of the worst animated TV shows of all time. One critic even called it one of the biggest fiascos in television animation history on both the creative and commercial level, in spite, but in many ways, because of the high-powered talent behind the project. And that's all I want to get into for now. I say we just start the intro and get into Family Dog. Alright, so in the original Amazing Stories episode, which aired in the show's second season in 1987, a dog named Jonah, a bull terrier simply called the Dog, who is actually voiced by Brad Bird, is the main character, and he's portrayed in 3 stories. The first story involves general misadventures around the house, with Jonah ignored and somewhat mistreated by his owners. Originally named the Binsfords, which were voiced by Stan Freberg, Annie Potts, Scott Menville, and Brooke Ashley. Yeah, we had kind of a stacked cast. The second part is a Christmas home movie thingy narrated by the family that culminates with Jonah eating the ham because, well, he's a dog. I'm not gonna get into the last segment, but just know that burglars keep breaking into the house, and Jonah fails to protect the house, so they send him to obedience school, and then he, catches the burglars, but then he, attacks the dad, because, that's what dogs do. Written and directed by Brad Bird, with music from two Oingo Boingo members, Danny Elfman and Steve Bartek, it was one of the most popular episodes of the Amblin Television / Universal Television weekly anthology television series, Amazing Stories. The story was animated by Dan Jupp, Ralph Eggleston, Chris Buck, Sue Croyer, Greg Vonzo, David Cutler, Rob Minkoff, Alan Smart, and Daryl Rooney from an animation production designed by Tim Burton himself. The animation production was outsourced to Hyperion Pictures, then under the Kushner Luck Company, and was shot in Sydney, Australia by Cinemagic Animated Films under animation director Cam Ford, with Kim Humphries as camera operator. I don't understand how that works, but hey, it was the 80s, and animation was different back then. Steven Spielberg's choice to make the episode using animation was, especially combining the expense of high-quality animation with well-known voice actors, was actually considered risky and bold at the time. The first half of the special was later attached to the theatrical release of another Spielberg project, which was Land Before Time, because of the film's short length over, just an hour. The show was also the first time that the Easter egg A113 was ever used. Brad Bird used it on the license plate of a van, and, it's been hidden in every movie he's directed, and of course it's been popularized by Pixar films, because Brad Bird does work on certain Pixar films. Six years after the original episode aired, a CBS series based on the episode was produced by, of course, Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton, who contributed to the production and character designs, and it was written by Dennis Klein, Sherry Stoner, Paul Dini, and animated by Nelvana, who would, of course, animate another show from Universal called Fiefel's American Tales. Now, I did not know that Fiefel had a show. I know about American Tail. I know about Fiefel Goes West because I was a nostalgia critic. But Fiefel's American Tales, I did not know that. Anyways, one thing that the show's production lacked, though, was the involvement of course, Brad Bird, because he didn't really believe the short's promise would work as a TV show, and, well, was he wrong? The show was largely hyped due to Steven Spielberg's involvement, but it was plagued by production delays. It didn't even get past its original network order of 13 episodes. 10 episodes were instead finished by the Wang Film Productions animation house in Taiwan, but the producers were dissatisfied with the results, so they halted production on the final 3 episodes and outsourced the 10 episodes to Nelvana for fixes and completions. The series was supposed to come out, I think, March 20th, 1991, and it was heavily promoted during the February 1991 broadcast of the Grammy Awards, but the animation was not complete in time for this premiere, so the series was ultimately pushed back until 1993, and the budget for each episode rose from $650,000 to $1 million, which is crazy because this is a cartoon. But then again, there are a lot of cartoons with bigger budgets. Anyways, despite the short airing 2 months before the launch of, the show, and the OG Simpsons shorts as part of the Tracy Ullman Show, Family Dog was lumped into a category of failed primetime animated series produced for the big 3 networks to compete with The Simpsons, alongside ABC's Capital Critters and CBS's own Fish Police. Those things will get video soon, I promise. But every program was canceled after only a few weeks, and CBS burned off Family Dog in 6 weeks in the summer of 1993. The entire series was released as a Laserdisc box set, and various episodes of the show were released on VHS around the same time. The original short was praised by critics alongside the likes of veteran animators like Bill Melendez and Bob Kurtz, but when the show debuted, it was roundly panned for its crude scripts and cheap production values, both of drastically lesser quality than the episode which had spawned the series. It became a cult disaster after that. But you know what? It did get a video game on the Super SNES, or the SNES. I don't know why I said Super SNES, it's literally the SNES. But that was also panned as being the worst SNES game ever, so damn, even as a video game, this show fucking sucks. So, because because Family Dog was a show, the lives of the central humans had to be expanded for the TV show itself. They were named the Binsfords and were, to be frank, a lot like The Simpsons, which didn't come out yet, may I add. Simpsons came out in 1989, but before that, it was on the Tracy Ullman Show. If you recall, though, The Simpsons were meant to be the opposite of a traditional sitcom family, expressing exasperation and clownery where it was in traditional TV, warmth and whimsy. But the Binsfords were the same in that they were pretty caustic and angry a lot of the time. The dog was often blamed for wrecking everything, but his well-meaning mayhem usually brought the family together. For example, the dog loses a dog show in the pilot episode, only to ruin everything because he is thirsty, knocking over an ice sculpture. On the drive home, the Binsfords giggle at over the chaos that happened or whatever. Also, like The Simpsons, Family Dog wasn't really rosy or placid. At least one of the stories involved the dog getting bitten by a toxic mosquito, taken to the vet, and nearly dying. Another episode's about a homeless man. I had to tilt the camera, sorry. About a homeless woman, I meant to say. Well, another still is about how the family home almost burns down because, well, why not? The show wasn't really a comedy, it was more like a tragedy. Really, it was a little skewed. It may have been created by Brad Bird, but you smell that? It's Tim Burton's influence. You could smell it on it as the series bore his dark, carnivalesque sense of humor. Oh, maybe someone liked it, Amy. Nope, no one liked it. No one liked it. Entertainment Weekly's Ken Tucker bristled at the hatefulness of the show, describing it as a funny yet gloomy take of a gray little football of a dog. Now, see that I will not let that slide. How dare you? Okay, he looks like Frankenweenie. Don't you call him names. Anyways, let's read the whole thing he said. A funny yet gloomy tale of a gray little football of a dog despised by a respectable family. The grown-up joke in Bird's Family Dog was that the people who owned this lazy, smelly, dumb pooch were even more pathetic than the dog was. He also noted about the show's absence of wit and casual cruelty. The Chicago Tribune's critic similarly hated it and felt that everyone should have this, talked less or whatever. And ratings stayed so low and the show eventually vanished. It was, of course, eventually available on Laserdisc and, a few select episodes were on VHS, but I already mentioned that before. Family Dog didn't just fail, it became notorious. The OG shorts may have technically predated the debut of The Simpsons, but its expansion into a series lumped it in with the explosion of animated shows that hit primetime in that series' wake. Indeed, though, Family Dog became one of the 3 expensive high-profile failures, all released in the early 90s and all featuring animated animals. Remember when I mentioned Capital Critters and Fish Police? Yeah, Family Dog joined those shows, which were both released in 1992 on the ash heap of time. Capital Critters, an animal-starring cartoon spoof of life in Washington, D.C., was a mixed bag, but Fish Police was an undersea detective series and was weirdly strong. It, along with Family Dog, well, it kind of didn't really deserve its negative reception. The image on screen is from the 3rd ever Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons, which aired on October 29th, 1982. One can clearly see tombstones labeled Fish Police, Capital Critters, and Family Dog. Family Dog hadn't even aired yet, but it was already dead. Animation enthusiasts knew that Family Dog had been picked up as a series, and then canceled before it even made it to the airwaves. Its 1993 airing was considered a burn-off, i.e. a display to the public only done out of contractual obligation. The show isn't available on streaming, but resourceful internet sleuths will be able to find low-quality bootlegs of the show here and there. It's certainly worth a look. Despite its reputation as a massive failure, Family Dog's actually quite good. But yes, it is caustic. And that's the whole video. Sorry that my procrastination made it so that this video took too long to make. I'm nervous about Soap Opera September because I did not finish most of the thumbnails. And we are getting close to the end of August. But rest assured, once again, as I said before, the very first episode will be pre-filmed due to the fact that I am seeing Oasis September 1st. That's right. I did it, guys. I'm gonna see the boys. Anyways, try to expect, I think, 2 videos today. The next video is obviously reacting to the teaser trailer for Return to Silent Hill. Woo! I've seen what Pyramid Head looks like, and oh my god, It just makes me want the game, bro. It's so hard to find it for the PS2 because it's so expensive. And before you say, oh, Amy, why don't you just get on the PS5? I don't own a PS5. I own a PS4 and a PS2. What do you want from me? If anyone knows a way I can play the game, please just, tell me. And before you say, oh, do you have, an Xbox Series X? No! I don't! I'm pretty sure Silent Hill 2 is only a PlayStation exclusive. I just don't know how to play the game, okay? I just don't know how. Anyways, after I react to the Return to Silent Hill teaser trailer, I'm making a video about a show called Two Guys and a Girl in a Pizza Place. But for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna call it People in a Pizza Place. I don't know. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything about Two Girls, One Cup. I don't want to hear anything about it. Y'all make me sick!